My name is Toby Diggs.
My name is Yusuf Muhammad.
My name is Ernest Wadim.
My name is Esmeralda.
My name's Aaliyah.
And my name is Brooke, and today I'm going to be the host for the podcast titled Amy Winehouse Back to Black. So the first thing we're going to be talking about today is what we think about Amy Winehouse being back to black. What were your first reactions or your first thoughts on it?
I think it was a really good album, and it did a great job of representing the struggles that she went through during that time period. Especially as we watched the documentary before we actually listened to the music, it kind of gave us a better understanding of the problems she went through and the struggles with alcohol and addiction, and especially with I forget his name, but the guy that she had, yeah, Blake, because he was just toying with her emotions and he just left her, which kind of gave us the album that we now know as Back to Black.
What do you think, Toby?
Why you gotta put me on the spot? I think it was a good album. I think it showed a lot of different kind of emotions in it. Like there was really like dark and brooding song, but then there was also songs that had like an upbeat feel, like whether the lyrics were depressing or not. I think the music, like the instrumental, played a big part in expressing the way she felt.
Okay, I really like the album. Overall, it's just a really dark album, masked in great upbeat instruments, but first impression, I really thought she sounded like Adele. I'm like, wow, she really sounds like Adele, she's a great singer, but it's like a really depressed Adele basically. Something like I really like the album and the music.
I think she's really embedded in jazz roots. Like I think most of her technique and everything is definitely on the jazz side instead of like pop or any other genre. I think she's definitely more of a jazz singer. And she has a really good way of like showing her feelings throughout like the hard times in her life, like through her lyrics and her songs.
My first impression of the album is just like it really does show, like as Mohammed said, how her life was during her relationship with Blake as well as after her relationship with Blake. It does show like her addiction and her reliance on him and how she doesn't really know what to do after.
I feel like he kind of just left her like clueless, like she didn't really know what she even felt at the time.
My impression was like, as the first couple songs were, it's like, dang, she really got a hard life. And as you sit and like listen throughout the whole album, it's like she basically telling me her life story, what she went through with certain people, what she went through going alone, family, friends, relationships, all of that. It's like, dang, some people really got it hard and they really got to go through stuff like that. And I'm just like, I mean, it wasn't a bad album. The album was actually pretty good. So.
Well, my thing about it too is like you wouldn't think that it would be like a person like her high status. Like you wouldn't think that a person like her would be having all like these struggles and everything. But it's really like when you listen to the lyrics, you really understand what she's going through.
But that's what kind of boosted her into that like status popularity is because she was so relatable and open of the struggles that she went through. It kind of gave just about everybody a little bit of something to relate to, if not multiple songs to relate to throughout that album. And with that like clarity and transparency in your music, it just allows like for a more personal connection with your audience.
That's true, because most people, like nowadays, you don't hear people putting stuff like that she put in her songs into their songs. Like she put her life into her songs about her addictions, her rehab, her family situations, her relationship situations. You don't really hear that from other like people nowadays. And like, yeah.
Life is the album. But I also think it's because she was pushed into it. That's her dad being like, no, you have to do this and pushing her. And this kind of just shows how like her dad was kind of like wanting her to make money because yeah,
Like her,
yeah.
because he knows she can make the money. So if she will continue to make music by him telling her that she's all right and she's fine, just like in the song she said, "My daddy says I'm fine." So with him saying she's fine, then she's well.
Well, yeah, and I think like the thing about it too is like she was worried, like she knew her music was gonna take her far in life, and she was worried about like the fame and everything that was gonna come from it, but she was kind of forced to make her music go that way. She was kind of like she put everything into her music. She was gonna be relatable, and then she was just worried about where it was gonna take her because she knew she was gonna get famous, and she was worried about the fame. She knew it was gonna like do something bad to her.
I really don't understand. I really don't understand why she wanted her dad's opinion on if she could go to rehab because he wasn't a very prominent character in her life after he cheated on her mom and they got divorced, right? And he was just was in the background and out of nowhere, she's like, I'll go to rehab if my dad says I should go to rehab.
I
It's
think
kind of like this approval.
Yeah, I think because he wasn't really like that present in her life, she probably just wanted as much interaction that she could get, and that interaction just so happened to be him telling her like, "You don't need to go to rehab. You're fine. You're like my baby daughter's all right, you know." And she was probably just like, "Yes, daddy." But you know, like she was just like daddy daughter situation.
But it also could have been like if she didn't want to go herself. So just with her daddy saying that she's all right, she don't really need to go. It's like, shoot, I got one to prove it, I ain't gotta go, so I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, it doesn't. It didn't matter who the other people
Yeah.
are saying. Like, oh, you don't
Like she
have
got,
to go.
if she got one person to tell her that she was all right and she needed to go, and that person happened to be her daddy, shoot, I ain't gotta go nowhere.
What song do you think stands out the most? That would show like her brokenheartedness or her depression.
I'll say love is a losing game, but like she really spoke about how love was affecting her and how like it's nowhere to go with love. It's just a losing. It's nowhere to go. Basically, it's like you get into it, it's the end. It's nothing good that comes out of it. So, I'll say love.
And we talked in class after that is that love is interchangeable with life, that song. That's what at least Mr. Deal said, because it just showed how no matter what the circumstances were, she felt like the universe was against her. And it stated something about that in the documentary too. And that's why I think she also fell into that like alcoholism stage in her life. But for me, I would personally say Back to Black because her and Blake, they kind of like trauma bonded together. And I think that's why they were so close for that short time frame. Um, but then after like the trauma and all the destructive decisions they made, it's just there was no like fun in it anymore for Blake at least. So that's why he left, and that kind of just left Amy and just nothing. Just that's why the song Back to Black because after he left, he just moved on immediately. Gave no second thought to it, which he just felt like there was no closure and that she had died 100 times over with this end of their relationship together.
Weren't they? Weren't they like each other's rebounds? Or I know Blake for sure was with someone, but was Amy with someone before?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that probably didn't help either, because that's like when you leave a relationship and then get back into one like that fast. Like whether it's like a month or like 6 months, like it's still pretty quick. And they were so close with each other, like it was probably just building off like just toxicity.
Yeah. And that's why like whenever Blake left his like main, it just kind of wasn't fun for him anymore. That's why he probably left.
Yeah.
Well, then too, you got to think about it like this. They were already together, like in 2005 or whatever, for a little bit, and then they broke up, and then they got back together later, and
They
that's
got
when they got married, like right away. So they were already kind of like on and off, and then she just decided to just give everything to him. Like she wanted to feel everything he was feeling. She got really obsessed with him. It was kind of like an obsession with Blake, more than anything. And I feel like Back to Black is definitely a good like example of her feelings and everything with that time. And then Blake also went to prison, so she had to figure out what she was going to do with him gone.
Did she die when he was in prison?
The second, I think he literally got out of prison like right after she died.
I think also Back to Black is like the song that stands out the most. Not besides the fact that like it's named after the album. It's also like if you see the music video, it kind of just shows how she's mourning over their relationship. Like she has this little tiny little box, and it's just like it kind of you ask yourself like, is that her heart that's in there, or is it like all of her emotions and it being enclosed into something that no longer is like alive for some of you.
Well, I mean, too, like Back to Black is kind of her saying like bye to him in her own way, but she's still like not able to say bye to him. It's kind of what it is. I mean, I think all of them are really good examples of like working hard in this because she's working harder than each and every one of them pretty much, just in different ways.
But in that Back to Black music video, it was all just in black and white. And there were like two other music videos like that. That one was just all black and white. The funeral, little box. So I think that really just represented like death of her feelings, I guess.
What's that song Teardrop on that on about her, boy?
Huh?
The song Teardrop on that Teardrop on their
What about her?
like about that whole song.
Oh yeah. Like the whole album is about her. Like,
Yeah. I mean, well, with the song Back to Black, like being like the focus point of their breakup or whatever. I mean, she named the entire album that, so I feel like everything just falls under that. Kind of
I
like
feel like Back to
Heartbreak
Black is
category.
kind of like a timeline of her like relationship. Pretty much like when it started, when it what lyrics or sounds or moods stand out the most and why?
I think Rehab and Tears Dry on Their Own are pretty upbeat songs, like I said before. Um, what's the first one? Oh, okay, yeah. So those stand out because it's supposed to be like a sad album, but if you're not really paying attention to the lyrics, it seems like really happy.
It's distracting.
Yeah, it's distracting.
Yeah, don't-
I think that was definitely intentional because she's trying to express herself, but she don't want people to really think too deep into it. So you gonna hear the beat, and you think, oh, this little catchy little beat.
kind of focus on like the surface of it, kind of like the surface of the idea.
But once you really go deep into it, it's like, dang, something really wrong. So,
Yeah, I mean, if you don't really listen to the lyrics of the song, you're not really picking up on the purpose of the song.
yeah.
But the beat is like so distracting from the lyrics in general that you have to just kind of read as it goes along.
And that's what some of the songs, majority of
Definitely Rehab.
definitely rehab.
Those upbeat songs could also be like almost like coping with like her like recent past or whatever. Like with her being upset, she could be like, "Well, it's fine because I'm moving along." But like even if she's not, but like she made it seem that way with the upbeatedness of her songs.
I mean, yeah, and Tears Dry on Their Own, she kind of like she acknowledges that he didn't play any like role in her attachment. Like
Yeah.
it was all on her, and it was he had no responsibility or owing anything to her to stay with her. It was on her for staying attached, despite all like the red flags that he had, and him just going back and forth with her. And then even if she stops, like she says, even if she stops wanting him, she'll just be somebody else's side piece.
Yeah.
So she's kind of like no self-respect there, and she just kind of knows that, or she thinks that that's all she's good for.
She kind of self-sabotages.
Yeah,
Yeah, she doesn't really know her self worth at all.
I mean, I think she knows, but like it's also where it's like, I don't deserve this. I shouldn't do this.
Or she shouldn't be having the feelings she has. Ernest, what do you think?
Yeah, what stands out to me the most, like how much her music is able to like portray her as a character. Like, she has some deep lyrics, but the beat and the melody is like, it kind of sounds happy sometimes, and like it really like shows how much a person she is. Like, she thinks she's strong, she thinks she can go through every way. On the inside, it's like all bad. So I really think that like.
What
So-
lyrics do you think stand out the most?
I think her lyrics on "Love Is a Losing Game." She said, "For you, I was a plane. Love is a losing game. 5-story fire as you came. Love is a losing game. One I wish I never played." I think it just speaks about her in general, like as a whole. Like
she
Yeah.
regrets her experience.
her despair.
Yeah.
Her depression. Yeah.
Yeah. She probably wishes that she didn't like fall in love to begin with, because she like was just so upset that she was like, man, if I didn't have a boyfriend or anything, then I wouldn't be this sad and I would have just gone about my life. But
I also feel like she just shrugs off her problems. Like,
yeah,
I don't think she shrugs them off. I think she just tries to ignore them, and then it builds up in her, and that like leads to all like her issues and alcohol and all that, not being able to really do anything for a while.
Yeah, like she knows she has problems, but she doesn't want to face them. Like she just kind of tries to find ways.
Like she was just pressing.
It's like if I don't see them, they're not there.
Yeah, pretty much. Anything else on that? Oh, okay. Okay, do we think that the audiences could have heard how brokenhearted she was within the first few listens on 2007?
I'm gonna say no, only because going back to the last question, it's like upbeat versus dark lyrics. So not after like the first time you like I said, first time you listen to that song is like you're not gonna think she's saying what she's saying because the beat is very distracting. So I'm like you're gonna have to listen to it and actually look at the lyrics as you listen to the songs to actually understand what's going on. So I'm gonna say no, but like after a while, you actually comprehend the song and realize what she's saying, what she's trying to put out there. Then you'll realize that she is actually brokenhearted.
It's very like any kind of radio music that you hear on the radio. You're not paying attention to the lyrics. I mean, maybe you are, but most people are not paying attention to the lyrics. Like it's just any song that sounds good, like musically and like with the instruments, that people are just gonna think of the song as that, no matter what the lyrics are.
Yeah, I think it's very hard to grasp the real meaning of something off a first or second listen. Like it really takes a few listens to really analyze and understand what the artist is trying to convey through their music.
Yeah.
Because off a surface face value, like it's great upbeat music with a great melody, but when you really dive into it, it's covering all these past issues of life.
Yeah, and I feel like you have to get like a deeper understanding too. So, I mean, with a deeper understanding, you have to listen more and more to really pick up on it, pick up on what she's trying to portray to the audience and what she's saying.
I think most people just listen to the chorus at first if they're listening to it for the first time. But like once they like go back after the sixth, seventh time, it's when you finally realize that, for example, like the the instrumental is like very upbeat, but then when you really listen to the lyrics, it's just like, what is she really talking? What is she trying to portray, or like what is she trying to distract herself from?
I kid y'all not. It took for this class for me to realize what Kendrick Lamar was saying in the song "Swimming Pool."
Oh yeah.
It took for this class for me to actually realize what that man was talking about.
Like the only thing we've listened to for that song is like One Shot, Dre.
That's the only part I really focus on too.
It's and you know what else is a good example of like like the instrumental portraying like the feeling of it. The song "Pumped Up Kicks." Like you know that
I
song.
was listening to that song yesterday.
Yeah, like that song has a super catchy tune and it seems super happy, but the actual lyrics are so dark. Like I don't know. I feel like this album, or at least a few of the songs, play like under that category. I guess like they're happy. They seem happy, but they're not.
Okay, for the music video we decided to watch, which was Back to Black, what do we think stood out the most in that? Like the scenes, the outfits, the background of it. What do we think stood out the most in Back to Black?
Everything being black, walking through wherever they're walking, you see crosses and stuff, it just gives off a little eerie vibe. Just it's really creepy and dark.
What was like the main impression from Back to Black? Like what was the strongest impression we received from that?
It's a funeral.
Yeah.
That's what it is. A funeral. But like it's not in a funeral where it's like all nice and like decorated. It's like you're in a cemetery that literally looks abandoned. Like the statues, most of them are broken.
Yeah, it's kind of like she and like sorry. For you, like watching it the first time, like you're looking at like sitting in a room surrounded by people, and it looks kind of like they're telling her like something happened to a person, and then it's just like going to the end, like to the cemetery, like say bye, but it's like she's not really saying bye though. It's weird, but so I said it for like a weird perspective. You can finish what you were saying.
It kind of reminds me of that one time. I don't know if you know like the iconic supposed revenge dress from Princess Diana. it kind of reminds you of like that. I don't know why, but it's that.
I think in that song because some of the lyrics it says that she died 100 times, and in the music video, like when they were at like the funeral and the burial grounds, it was kind of as if nobody else was acknowledging her. So maybe it was like her funeral or her emotions funeral, and that because she died 100 times.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a brokenhearted and depressed song. Definitely the music videos portraying depression and brokenheartedness.
Was Rehab the music video that had like her in the bathtub? Or yeah. Which one was the music video that had her in the bathtub? Like I remember her, she was like talking to herself in like a darkened room, and she's like smoking in the bathtub, and like the guys like
the bathroom. I think that is real because they were in the bathroom, but it was gone. Only one said that I was in the tub, and she was like standing in the mirror.
it's like it's the one where she's like the guy is like throwing fists at him and they're like in a bar.
It's like in
Well, that's the one where
Dark.
that's the cheating one, the I'm no good.
Yeah,
okay.
that one. I think that one's also very like a significant thing as well because it kind of shows like she is self-aware of what she's doing. And so it's like, with the music video, it's kind of portraying every single thing she did that she knows that she's done.
But in that song, she was just a lot of the time like she was trying to get back at him, but he would just kind of like sugar it like
Yeah.
he doesn't expect anything more from her. Like this is
It's like
who
this is
she
the
is.
usual thing.
He doesn't care, and she wanted him to care, or like get jealous or something, but he wasn't really paying her any mind.
Which I think also breaks her even more.
Yeah.
Because it's like he's not paying attention. That's why it's my purpose. So, like,
But in the actual music video, like the guy who she's with, like he's pushing the other guy and he's showing her like a recording of her cheating on him. So it's kind of contradictory.
Anything else you'd like to add about the music video or ideas? No? Yeah. So we were just talking about the bathtub, and in the United States cover of her album, she's in the bathtub, and then the United Kingdom one, she's sitting down. Which one do we think like kind of shows her brokenheartedness and depression more?
I feel like the U.S. cover like gives off more so the vibe of the album. The UK cover is just like you wouldn't think you would hear those kind of songs with looking at that cover. It seemed like a regular, just a almost like a normal person.
yeah.
I mean, she is a normal person, but like a normal person.
Like ordinary life.
Yeah.
But like, why would she use those images? Like, if she picked the images, why would she pick those? Do you think?
I think the UK one kind of just shows how she has her life together. Even though she doesn't.
Yeah, it's kind of like a person trying to like portray like, oh, I'm this person that has like everything together. It's like kind of to hide like the real truth, which is that she doesn't have anything together.
Yeah, I don't really understand like contrast there that cover art because okay, maybe yeah, she just wanted to seem like she had her life together, but she's just sitting on a stool. Like it doesn't really portray anything else. Whereas in the U.S. version, like is it, we just watched the Tenenbaums and the girl that was depressed in there, she was just in the bathtub smoking the whole time. So it's kind of like the same vibe there. She's just depressed. She doesn't want to do anything. She doesn't really want to. Cause she was smoking,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for the UK album, her sitting in the chair, because I think like the UK is like more seen as like more formal, I guess, than the US at least. Like they're more proper or whatever. So maybe
I mean, nothing about her music has been.
I know, but maybe just like for like she just wanted to give off like a more formal look, whereas like the bathtub is not as formal. It's just sitting
You know,
in a
all
chair.
people. I don't know. Amy Winehouse want to go with formal because she was like the first person to like really cuss in her music and stuff.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
I mean,
I don't know, just get better points, I guess.
I think for the UK one as well, like going back to the whole stool thing, it kind of just shows how she's up on stage. If you've ever seen like in jazz club,
Mhm,
it's like
yeah.
they're sitting on, they're sitting on
Mhm.
there, they're like singing like.
That's a good point.
So as we all know, the title of the album is Back to Black. If we could change it, would we? And what would we change it to?
I wouldn't change it, personally.
I wouldn't change only because it's like she's going back into a dark stage in her life. Like the music definitely represents that. But if I had to change it, like I said, I would change it to Winter Life. Definitely Winter Life.
I mean, if I had to change it, it'd just be on and off because it's like, well, it's kind of would represent the toxicity of like a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely Back to Black is definitely like a good depiction of like her whole life and like how she's been moving along life, but she's kind of back in the same place she started at. I don't know. I kind of feel like if you had to change the title of it, it would kind of be like Changes or Life Changes or something because it's changing, but not really like you would think that her life would be changing. Yes, like she's going back to like the same patterns, the same things that she used to do. Just be. What about y'all?
Yeah, I think it's a perfect album title, but it was a really dramatic album. I wouldn't want to change it. If you had to change it, it had to be something like, I don't know, Drowning in Despair, or, something crazy, because Back to Black, it just, I don't even think it does the job.
It definitely wouldn't be rehab.
I would say like maybe toxic or love ran its course because at the end of the day, like it was like their the entirety of their relationship, on and off, and everything they went through until it was just
Come back.
yeah, stopped for the time being until she got popular, and then she went back to for God knows what reason.
Do we think the album would be any different with the new titles? Like, do we think it would kind of like follow the same storyline or the timeline, or do we think it would be different?
I feel like it'd be more like talking about the relationship rather than just that.
Like, kind of like in the moment of the relationship,
Yeah.
like what's actually happening.
Because she probably named her album. She made all the music, so it would probably be the same.
If she made music before she named the album.
I agree.
Yeah, I think she definitely like had a plan for how it was gonna go. Because I mean, you can't just write all of that.
Yeah.
Okay. If if we had to tell Mr. Dill to pick something else, would we, or would we just tell him to keep doing it we want him?
I would keep it.
I would keep it.
I think Amy is good. Like she's a good person to learn about because it teaches you different like points of views and perspectives of different people's lives and stuff. So,
Realities. What essentially.
Right, she got a taste of Amy Winehouse.
It also was like kind of because we grew up like during when she was like popular, but probably didn't really. I mean, I wasn't aware of what was going on because I was a kid, just in my own little world. But watching like the documentary, we got like a feel for like the I guess like late 2000s, and yeah. So I feel like it's a good like history lesson almost too.
I've heard of Me, Mr. Jones before, but that's like the only song on this whole album that I've heard.
Yeah, the way it starts out, I feel like I've heard that line.
I had no idea who anyone else was.
So,
Yeah.
I think Mr. Deal did a great job with this whole semester being on the topic of brokenheartedness. I think he did a great job selecting like the Ernest Hemingway, Nick Adams stories, and Kendrick Lamar, Van Gogh, Amy Winehouse, all very broken individuals who had issues for us to analyze through like the text, the paintings, and the songs to really understand like what's going on or beyond the surface level of like that glacier that he drew, horrible glacier. But,
I didn't answer to that, but
you know,
Keeping that.
I was just like, I'm just understood.
Yeah, I feel like they all kind of tie into each other. It's a really good job of like tying them in.
Also, with Vincent Van Gogh, we looked at all of his paintings. No, I kid y'all not. The only painting I knew about him was the Starry Night painting.
Yeah.
Like that was the only one. I'm like, I never knew his life story, his like everything he went through.
I did not know he cut his hair off.
I didn't know none of that. I didn't know that at all.
Mr. Deal, you have a very depressing class. Full of attorneys. It's not.
The only thing I have to say is I wish that the class was a little longer so we could go to the movie theater and watch Back to Black. Then it maybe And it's the only thing I wish because I've been seeing trailers on it and I'm really
It'll be popping up on my TikTok for you page.
I know, it just sounds so interesting. Like I'm just wondering if it's gonna be like the documentary or if it's gonna be different.
Watch it.
I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, any other things we want to say about Amy Winehouse and Back to Black? Was that it? Ernest, do you have anything to add?
All right, well, that's
That's the end
That's
of
about
Amy
wraps.
Winehouse's Back to Black podcast.